Project Zomboid is simple on the surface, but once you start to delve deeper, it becomes quite complex and oftentimes difficult to understand. The game prefers to obfuscate important information and let the player struggle through figuring it out. Moodles are a perfect example of this. Moodles are the icons on the right-hand side of your screen that tell you what your character's current status is, but the game doesn't tell you exactly what the Moodles mean. Hopefully by the end of this video, you'll have a greater understanding of what each Moodle means and how the different levels of each Moodle impact your character. Hunger is recorded independently from the weight of your character. You could be full to bursting but still losing weight, or very hungry but still gaining weight. The Hunger Moodle only tracks the amount of hunger that your character has gained or lost over a short period of time. Once you reach the maximum positive Hunger Moodle, you can no longer eat more food. And once you reach the maximum negative Hunger Moodle, you'll begin to take damage and will die if your character does not eat anything. The green Hunger Moodle indicates your character is at varying degrees of satiation. Once your Hunger Moodle turns green, your character will begin to heal wounds quicker than normal. In previous versions of the game, your character also gained carry capacity for having a green Hunger Moodle, but this is no longer the case. As far as I know, only healing speed is affected by the green Hunger Moodle. The red Hunger Moodle indicates you've gone into the negative, and your character is now hungry. The first tier of negative hunger does not have any negative effects, and is only there to indicate that you'll need to eat soon. Once you reach the second level of negative hunger, then you'll lose 1 carry capacity, and your wounds will heal 35% slower. The third and fourth levels of hunger will reduce your carry capacity by 2, and healing speed by 60%. If you reach the fourth level of negative hunger, you'll begin to take damage, and you'll die if your character does not eat. The Thirst Moodle is very similar to the Hunger Moodle, in that it represents how urgently your character needs to consume water. You can drink clean or tainted water to get rid of the Thirst Moodle, but keep in mind that drinking tainted water will also make your character sick. Tainted water can be purified by either boiling it, or by using water purification tablets. The first Thirst Moodle is just a warning and has no negative effects. The second level will reduce your carrying capacity by 1. Level 3 and 4 will reduce your carrying capacity by 2, and the fourth level will start to cause health and stamina loss. Keep in mind your character will need to drink much more frequently than they need to eat. Unlike hunger, there is no secondary mechanic to be concerned about when it comes to thirst, in the same way that hunger loosely relates to calories consumed. The character will begin to panic when it sees zombies. The more zombies the character sees, the more panic they'll experience. The veteran profession makes you immune to this Moodle, except in the case of the PTSD flashback nightmares that will occasionally wake you up in the middle of the night at full panic. The trait Brave will also reduce this effect by 70%. Keep in mind that every character will slowly become more and more resistant to panic the longer they survive by increasing the rate at which the character sheds panic. It can get to the point where panic no longer needs to be worried about at all. The first level of panic reduces critical hit chance by 1.3%. The second level of panic reduces critical hit by 2.6% and reduces melee damage by 0.1. The third level of panic reduces critical hit chance by 3.9%, reduces melee damage by 0.2, and reduces gun damage by 0.19. The fourth and maximum level of panic reduces critical hit chance by 5.2%, reduces melee damage by 0.3, and reduces gun damage by 0.25. At max level panic, it will also reduce the character's field of view. The Moodle states that aiming is reduced, but it does not in fact affect aiming. Instead, it just reduces the damage done by a bullet. Boredom is a very simple Moodle. It doesn't require a lot of explanation. The character will become increasingly bored from inactivity. The longer they do nothing or remain indoors, the more bored they'll become. The first level of Boredom does nothing, but every level past that, the character will begin to accumulate unhappiness and eventually become depressed. Each level of Boredom has a higher rate of unhappiness gain than the previous level. Panic completely clears boredom, and the character can read, watch TV, listen to the radio, or become active outdoors to clear away the Boredom Moodle. Stress accumulates for a few different reasons. It can build up when surrounded by zombies. It can also build up if you've been infected by the zombie virus. Characters with the fear of blood trait will accumulate stress when they have blood on their clothing, and characters with the smoker trait will accumulate some stress when they have gone too long without a cigarette. Level 1 stressed has no effect. Level 2 stressed reduces melee and range damage by 0.1, slowly increases unhappiness, and reduces foraging radius. Level 3 stressed reduces melee and range damage by 0.2, and increases unhappiness faster than level 2. It also reduces foraging radius. Level 4 stressed reduces melee and range damage by 0.3, and quickly increases unhappiness. Like the previous levels, it reduces foraging radius, except at this level, it will reduce your foraging radius by 95%. Stress, boredom, discomfort, and eating certain foods can cause unhappiness to increase. Each level of unhappiness increases the time it takes to complete actions. This includes everything from building, to crafting, to even pulling out your weapon from your belt. The first unhappiness Moodle increases the action speed by 7.4%. The second increases it by 13.7%, the third by 19.6%, and the fourth increases it by 26.5%. Using antidepressants, food with a happiness boost, books, magazines, or small amounts of alcohol can reduce unhappiness. Keep in mind that when using antidepressants, they don't work instantaneously, instead they work slowly over time. If your character has the smoker trait, you can smoke a cigarette to reduce unhappiness by 10. Drinking any alcohol will increase the character's level of intoxication. The first Moodle appears when you go above 10% drunkenness, level 2 if you go above 30, level 3 if you go above 50, and level 4 is above 70% drunkenness. Going above 50% will begin to increase fatigue levels and severely hamper your ability to drive vehicles. At this point it becomes incredibly dangerous to drive anything. Also as a warning, don't consume sleeping pills while drunk because your character could overdose and die. Going above your character's carry capacity will cause an encumbrance Moodle to appear. The capacity that is important for this number is the number in your character's primary inventory, not the number in the character's backpack. The backpack does add to the primary inventory carry capacity by taking the amount in the bag multiplied by its reduction modifier. There are 4 levels of encumbrance Moodle that become progressively worse as you go higher and higher above your character's carry capacity. At first level, encumbrance will reduce attack speed by 7%, critical hit chance by 5%, and will reduce your movement speed by 19%. The second level will reduce attack speed by 14%, critical hit chance by 10%, and movement speed by 37%. The third level will reduce attack speed by 21%, critical hit by 15%, and movement by 56%. For the fourth and final level, attack speed by 28%, critical hit by 20%, and movement speed by 75%. In addition, at second level you can no longer sprint. At third level, you'll begin to lose 75% of your health depending on your total encumbrance. At fourth level, you'll begin to lose endurance as you walk until you become fully exerted. Keep in mind that encumbrance damage cannot actually kill you. It can only severely damage you, and then will stop doing any more damage. The exerted Moodle indicates that your character is starting to run low on endurance. This Moodle is one of, if not the most important Moodle in the game to pay attention to. Once you go below 75% endurance, you'll reach the first level of exerted. Below 50%, you'll be at level 2. Below 25%, you'll be at level 3. And if you go under 10% endurance, you'll be at the maximum level of exerted. Melee damage is reduced by 50% at the first level, 80% at the second level, 90% at the third, and 95% at the maximum level. As you can tell, even getting the first level of exertion is extremely punishing from a melee damage reduction standpoint alone. 50% melee damage severely reduces the speed at which you can kill zombies, and will burn significantly more durability from your weapon to kill each zombie. In addition, at first level exertion, attack speed is reduced by 7%, at second level 14%, at third level 21%, and at the max fourth level it's reduced by 28%. You'll also be losing movement speed the more exerted your character becomes. At first level you'll lose 19% movement, at second level 37%, at third 56%, and at the maximum fourth level you'll be losing 75% of your movement speed. Also keep in mind that at the second level exertion you can no longer sprint, and at third level you can no longer run. In order to avoid suffering the effects of exertion, start with a character with high levels of fitness, or make time to level your fitness through exercise throughout your playthrough. The higher your fitness, the more endurance you're going to have, allowing you to fight for longer without resting. If you find that you're still getting exerted frequently, make sure to rest in between fights. You can sit on the ground to increase your endurance regeneration, and you can also use furniture to rest on to increase it even more. Try to make sure you're only fighting when you have above 75% endurance. One final side note about endurance, you can forge ginseng, which provides a small endurance gain when eaten or drank as part of a tea. It's the only item in the game that can restore endurance on consumption. The tiredness Moodle appears when your character goes too long without sleep and becomes tired. The first Moodle appears when the character goes over 60% tiredness, the second over 70% tiredness, the third over 80%, and the fourth over 90%. The higher quality of the bed that the character sleeps in, the more tiredness will be removed when sleeping. The first tiredness Moodle reduces melee damage by 50%, shrinks the vision cone, greatly reduces endurance regeneration, and shrinks the foraging radius. The second level reduces melee damage by 80%. It also causes all of the penalties of level 1, but to a greater degree. The third level reduces melee damage by 90%, and again provides all of the penalties of level 2, but to a greater degree. The fourth level reduces melee damage by a staggering 95% and stops all endurance regeneration. At fourth level tiredness, you can also sleep on the floor or when in pain. The tiredness Moodle is pretty easy to get rid of. You can sleep, consume caffeine pills, or drink anything with caffeine in it. Sleeping is by far the easiest method, and will generally need to occur once or twice per day, depending on how often your character is becoming exerted. Your character has an internal body temperature that's determined by the amount of work your character has recently done, the insulation of the clothing they're wearing, and the temperature of the environment they're in. Certain illnesses can also affect body temperature. If you've been recently scratched, lacerated, or bit by a zombie, and then become hyperthermic, then I have some bad news for you. The first level of overheating will slightly increase thirst and tiredness rate. The second level will also increase thirst and tiredness rate at the same rate as level 1. It also decreases attack speed by 50% and will slightly reduce your movement speed. The third level does the same as level 2, but decreases movement speed even more. The fourth level is the critical danger level, as it'll have the same effects as level 2 and 3, but it'll also reduce awareness, reduce movement speed even more, and will begin to cause damage until the player drops to 0 health and dies. As long as your heat is not caused by zombification, then the easiest way to get rid of it is to take off the outer layer of clothing and then continue to remove clothing until the heat moodle is gone. If you're in a car, you can also turn on the air conditioner until the air temperature is at a comfortable level. If your overheating is caused by the zombie virus, then the only way to get rid of this moodle is to die. Much like hyperthermia, hypothermia is another temperature-related moodle, but in this case occurs when your character gets too cold. Just like hyperthermia, the temperature of the air, the wind chill, and the insulation of the clothing you're wearing all have an effect on your character's current core temperature. When the core temperature drops too low, your character will become hypothermic. The first level of the moodle has no active effect, and is only there to indicate your character is getting a bit too cold. The second level will begin to reduce your attack speed by 34% and will slightly reduce your movement speed. The third level reduces attack speed by 67% and reduces your movement speed even more than level 2. The fourth level reduces attack speed by 90% and reduces movement speed more than 2 and 3. It also slowly drains your endurance until it's gone. This moodle is one that most players don't have to worry about since it only occurs during the fall and winter seasons. It's easily solved by putting on higher insulation clothing or adding more layers of clothing to your character. The Windchill moodle is very easy to understand, as each level of Windchill represents your character feeling extra cold from the wind. Each level of Windchill will have a greater effect on your character's core temperature than the previous. For the most part, you'll only see this moodle in the fall, and you really only need to worry about it in the winter. Just like hypothermia, if you see this moodle, just make sure you have on high insulation clothing, or add a few layers. Wetness is another really simple moodle to understand. You can get wet slowly over time by being overheated and sweating, or from being out in the rain too long. You can wear an outer layer with high water resistance to slow down how wet you become from the rain. You can use an open umbrella when it's raining to stop it from going above level 2. There's nothing you can do to stop sweat, so sweat will always be an issue when you're overheating. The best you can do is try to stop your character from overheating. If you do become wet, you can wring out clothing to reduce clothing wetness. The only thing you really need to understand about the wet moodle is that at level 3 and 4, this will increase your chance of becoming sick with a cold. Wounds, injuries, and exercise fatigue can cause pain in whatever body part is affected. For example, a scratch on the arm will cause pain in the arm, and too many squats can cause pain in the legs. Bandages can reduce the pain of wounds, and splints can help reduce the pain of broken bones. Painkillers and some wild herbs can be used to help reduce general pain. There are 4 levels of the pain moodle. The first level increases chance to trip by 5%. The second level increases chance to trip by 10% and can reduce movement speed if the pain affects the legs, melee damage and attack speed if the pain affects the arms and hands. In addition, at second level, the character will be unable to sleep. The third level will increase chance to trip by 15% and reduce movement, melee damage, or attack speed even more. The fourth level increases trip by 20% and provides a bigger penalty to movement, melee damage, or attack speed. And lastly, the character is no longer able to exercise at this level of pain. If you spend too much time with the wet moodle at level 3 or 4, then your character will have a chance to catch a cold. There are 4 tiers of cold moodle. Each one increases the rate of sneezing, and each tier is progressively harder to get rid of and will take more time to cure. Sneezes are a loud noise that originates from the character that can attract zombies and anger your farm animals. You can use tissues to muffle the noise, but the only way to stop the sneezing entirely is to get rid of the cold moodle. It's best to avoid zombie-infested areas entirely while suffering from a cold, and stay as far away from your farm animals as possible. The best way to cure the cold moodle is to stay well fed and spend as much time in a warm environment as you possibly can. The lower tiers of cold can be cured in a day or so, while the higher tiers of cold can take several days to get rid of. The smell moodle is an indication that you're slowly accumulating sickness from either nearby corpses or toxic fumes from a generator that has been turned on inside a building. The smell moodle by itself does not have any adverse effects, and it only becomes a serious issue when the sick moodle appears in addition to the smell. The first 3 levels of smell occur from nearby zombie corpses, while the last level occurs when the character enters a building with an active generator inside of it. You can wear a gas mask to completely avoid smell. You can also wear face masks to reduce the accumulation of smell. Sick or nausea can occur for a few different reasons, the worst of which being the zombies got you and you're dying. Otherwise, you can also become sick from food poisoning, tainted water, from corpse smell, or from using tobacco without the smoker trait. All forms of sickness can be cured except the zombie sickness. There's nothing you can do about becoming a zombie. Level 1 sick will increase body temperature. If it's sickness from the zombie virus, you'll begin to slowly take damage at this level. Level 2 will reduce carry capacity by 1 and increase body temperature even more than level 1. It'll also slow healing for non-zombie sickness and damage you more than level 1 if you're turning into a zombie. Level 3 will reduce carry capacity by 2 and has all the same penalties as level 2, but at a more severe level. Level 4 will reduce carry capacity by 3. It has all the same penalties as 3, but will be severe to the point where if you have this Moodle, you're done for. The Discomfort Moodle is new in Build 42. It's a measure of how much discomfort a character has accumulated from various types of clothing. Different pieces of clothing will accumulate discomfort at different rates. Some clothing with discomfort provides such little discomfort that you can ignore it, while others will add so much discomfort that it adds up very quickly. Multiple pieces of clothing with discomfort will add together and cause discomfort even more quickly. You can get rid of the Discomfort Moodle by taking off all of the clothing with discomfort and taking a short break. When the Moodle disappears, you can put your gear back on. The main penalty that discomfort brings is more unhappiness. Unhappiness will accumulate at a rate that is based on how much discomfort the character has and how long they've been uncomfortable for. Each level of Discomfort Moodle doesn't have additional penalty beyond increasing the rate at which your character is becoming unhappy. The Injured Moodle represents the damage that your character has already taken. Level 1 has no additional effects. Level 2 will reduce carry capacity by 1, Level 3 by 2, and Level 4 will reduce your carrying capacity by 3. Other than carry capacity, the penalty the character suffers will largely be dependent on where the injury is located. The Bleeding Moodle will appear when the character has a bleeding injury. The number of current bleeds will determine the level of the Moodle. Level 1 for 1 bleed, 2 for 2, and so on. At level 2 and above, the character will also suffer a reduction of 1 to carry capacity. For the Zombie Moodle, or the Dead Moodle, I don't think these two require much explanation. You get it. Thank you for watching. I hope you found this video helpful for your next Project Zomboid playthrough. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this one. If you want to help support the creation of videos like this, consider membership or check out my Patreon. Thanks again, and see you for the next video.